Hey everybody, welcome to the Spark on today. Hope you're doing great. Hope everything is going great for you, and I hope that your life is exactly like you want it. Hey, listen, if it's not, all you got to do is just change the way you're focused, change the way you're thinking, change what you're doing, and better will come into your life. I hope that your past week has been great, and I hope you're setting yourself up for a better week on this week. And it all starts with how you think, because as the Bible teaches us, and as so many of our philosophers have taught us, as a man or woman thinks, that's exactly how they are. So get that proper mindset and begin to move in the right direction. Go ahead and shout yourself out if you haven't done that. I'm so happy to be with you on today because I believe I have something for you that's going to impact and change your life if you'll allow it. I am super excited about our focus for the year of 2023 about using your imagination. I believe your imagination is so powerful, and it can take you places where you otherwise may not be able to go. And I want to talk about that on today. In particular, last week I talked about just the power of your imagination, but today I want to talk about don't settle, use your imagination. Once again, don't settle. Use your imagination. If you remember from last week, I shared with you near the end of that broadcast, anything imagined can be realized. And so, if that's the case, I want you to understand that as you're using your imagination, you are beginning to produce things because everything starts in the imagination. Well, I was thinking about that this week and I was looking at it again, and then something else came up. And this is what I want to talk about on today. Many people have been conditioned to stop dreaming, to stop imagining, and to be what people would call realistic. In other words, people will tell you, come on now, be realistic. So I looked at that and I said, what does that really mean when somebody's saying that? And what point are they trying to get across? Because if you're like me and you have big dreams and you have imagined some great things, there will be other people that will look at you and say, now, come on, David, you don't really believe. Well, yeah, I do believe it. Well, David, come on now, let's be realistic. And they will try to paint a picture of realism to you to help you. And let me say this before I go too far. I don't think they're bad people. I just think that they have a limited understanding of who you are and what you can be and what you can use your imagination for. So when somebody says be realistic, according to Webster's dictionary, it says a person who recognizes what is real or possible in a particular situation. Now, I thought that was an interesting definition because it says what a person who recognizes what is real, or this was the key part, possible in a particular situation. So I looked at that and I said, well, then by definition, I really am being realistic because I use my imagination to see things that I believe are possible. So if they're possible in accordance with Webster's dictionary, that's a part of being realistic. Now, this is what I understand. When a person tells you be realistic, they're really just showing you where they're at. And that's not a bad thing because that's where they're at. And everybody has a right to be where they're at. And they're not really looking at where you're at. It's more so of where they're at. They're also, and I don't mean any harm in saying this, please hear my heart in this. They're looking at what's not possible for them, and it's not about what's possible for you. So their limited mindset, and that's really when somebody tells you to be realistic, they're really showing you where they're set, where their limits are at. And that's when I say limited mindset, I don't mean that in nothing I say today is a negative thing. I really want to help people go to the next level. What I have to help people understand is this right here, is that just because somebody doesn't believe it's possible for them does not make it impossible for you. If you really look at the word impossible, right in there, it tells you the truth. I am, or I'm possible. I am possible. I'm possible. So that person, what they're really trying to get you to understand is this right here. That's just where they're at. Now, for me personally, when I hear somebody say be realistic, they're saying to me what they're speaking to me, and this is the way my mind processes it. They're saying, hey, look, accept what currently is and don't look for any more. Now, that challenges me because I know there's so much more for me. I know that where I'm at today is just where I'm at today. And I also know this right here, where I am today came from what I thought, in the past. On yesterday, I like to say it, but in the past. And if I want something different, I've got to begin to think different. I got to begin to believe different. I've got to begin to imagine different, and I've got to act differently. I hope that makes sense. So what they're telling you is, hey, accept what currently is and no more. They're also telling you settle for things as they are and don't look for what it can be. You've heard this before. It is what it is. And, I shared with you quite a while ago. I used to say that it is what it is. Well, no, it is what I want it to be. All I have to do is to understand how to function correctly and how to imagine correctly in order to have those things I want in my life. Right here, I want to share a story with you. And this is near and dear to me. This story is near and dear to me because it's my story. Here's the truth. When I was in high school, I met a gentleman who was a United States Marine. And to this day, he is still one of my mentors as a Marine and as a JRTC instructor because he was my JRTC instructor. All right. So what he did when I met him at a time in my life when I probably needed him in my life more than he needed me in his, if you understand what I mean, because I was out of control. And this man brought me in and I was face to face with him. And he told me directly that I was going down the wrong path. And he had told me that I better get my act together. And so it scared me, but it also challenged me. And so what I did, I signed up for his class. Excuse me, because anybody who had that kind of impact on my life and made me think that deeply, I needed to get to know them more. So I signed up on purpose for his class. You would think I would run from him because this guy literally grabbed me by my arm, pulled me in face to face with him, and said those words to me. But that didn't scare me. That really made me think you had better get your act together. And so what he did, after I got in his class, I recognized my calling to be a United States Marine. But let me share something with you about that. I weighed about 97 pounds soaking wet. I had no muscle. I had nothing that you wouldn't look at me and say, that's a United States Marine. But I had imagined what it would be like to be a United States Marine just by meeting this guy and listening to him and hearing him and watching how he carried himself, how he projected himself, how he was the professional. I wanted that. I wanted to be a United States Marine, but I didn't have the attributes. I didn't have the resources to be a United States Marine. I did not have the muscle tone. I didn't have the mental toughness. I had none of that when I first started. So I went to him and I said, Master Sergeant, I want to be a United States Marine. What do I need to do? Initially, he laughed. He just kind of chuckled. It wasn't one of those things like he was like, get out of my face or anything. He just kind of chuckled. He said, so you want it? And I was like, yes, sir. And he says, let me share with you a couple of things. So he began to share with me the mental toughness of a Marine. He began to share with me the physical toughness of a Marine. He began to share with me all of those things that make a United States Marine a United States Marine. You would think that would drive me away. No, I wanted it more then. Why? Because he helped fill in all the gaps of what my imagination was already giving me. And then he looked at me and he says, you really want to be a Marine? And I was like, yes, sir. He said, then if you really want to be a Marine, you will bring your physical training clothes, your shorts, your shirt, and you will meet me here every day, and I will help you to become a United States Marine. See, that goes to another principle that I teach. You get more on your way than when you first started. So here's a guy that had over 20 years of experience being a United States Marine, willing to bring me in, fill in all the blanks of what my imagination was for a United States Marine, teach me how to be a United States Marine, train me physically, mentally, and all of that to get me to the point to where when I graduated from high school, 12 days after I graduated from high school, I was standing at Parris Island, South Carolina, on those famous yellow footprints. And approximately 3 months later, I became a United States Marine. So my imagination got me there. And then all the things that I needed were added unto me in order to get there. So I'm sharing with you on today, don't settle. Use your imagination. Why? Because all things are possible to the person who believes it's possible. If you believe it's possible and you begin to imagine it, I will tell you right now, you will get there. See, this is what I know. Logic will get you from point A to point B to point C. But your imagination, my imagination, can and will take us everywhere that we want to go. And all you have to begin to do is begin to use your imagination in the right way to imagine those things. See, I said the right way. And the reason why I say that is because some people use their imagination more negatively than they do positively. They see what they can accomplish. They see what they can't do instead of seeing what they can. And I know I feel like today, like I'm making a connection with somebody that needs to understand that it is possible for you. You've got to use your imagination. Now, listen, I'm going to say this because I know my critics will begin to say, well, wait a minute, what about reality or what is? I'm not saying that we don't deal with the current reality. I'm not saying that. I had to deal with the current reality that I wasn't physically fit, that I wasn't built to be a Marine. I had to deal with that. I'm not saying that we don't act responsibly in the here and now, because I did. I had to act responsible in the here and now to become that United States Marine. I had to understand there were some things I needed to do. There were some things I needed to take care of. There are some things you need to do. There are some things you need to take care of, but that does not stop you from using your imagination, getting on the canvas of your imagination and painting you a future that is just unbelievable to other people, but is believable to you. Why? Because you've already seen it. You've already been there. You've already lived in it. You've already done it. And that's the way it was for me as a United States Marine. I saw myself in that uniform. I saw myself performing. And I got to let you know, when I got to Parris Island, it wasn't always easy, but it was attainable. It was doable. And I kept going back. I didn't even know anything about my imagination back then, but I was using it. And so I'm sharing with you what I'm saying is that we set our mind, that's our mindset, on a future reality, and we stay with it until it is realized. Yeah, we got to deal with what's going on right now. We sure do, but that's okay. I can still set my mind on a future that is possible for me, and I stay with it until it is realized. Because I said it earlier, and I want to say it again. My current reality, where you are right now today, is nothing more than the outcome of your prior mindsets, your prior beliefs, your prior desires, and your prior actions. And if you want something different, my God, all you have to do is change right now, and you're going to get something different. Therefore, I use my imagination. I do it today. I do it every day. I use my imagination to change my current reality into my future presence. And I'll wrap it up with this right here. Everything, all things start with the imagination. I want you to think about that. When you see something, when you see a car, it started in somebody's imagination. When you see the house, it started in somebody's imagination. When you see a child, it started in somebody's imagination. And as they held it in their imagination, more things were added unto them, and it became their present reality. Boy, I hope that helped you, because that helped me. Okay? That helped me. And what I want to challenge you with is where you're at right now. Yeah, deal with it. But come on, don't let that stop you. Don't let that limit you. And don't let anybody get in your way. And I hope that you will understand this and that you will take this. And you may need to listen to this 3 or 4 times to really get it. But I'm telling you right now, don't settle. Use your imagination. Remember this right here. I got to get out of here. Remember this. You are the architect of your life, and I'm telling you right now, I believe in you. I believe in you. I will see you on next week. You have a great one. Bye.